Hello. Today's video is going to be all about how to make weight loss and healing easy and enjoyable. I'm Chef Jessica of Eat, Breathe, Move, Glow, and I have been a nutritional chef for over 25 years, and I've helped people through a variety of very difficult health challenges and very large amounts of weight loss over the years. And what I have learned is that there are no two people that are exactly the same. And I created this channel to help you understand that being healthy can actually be fun, enjoyable, and easy. You will not find anything on this channel that asks you to push yourself harder or to restrict yourself or deprive yourself, because what I have learned is that that does not work. What happens is when people are given plans or given instructions that they have to muscle their way through, it just doesn't last and it sets them up for failure. And so personalized strategy is the way, and that is what I help my clients with. I tailor their strategy to their likes, their dislikes, their habits, their temptations, their culture, their family, because that is the avenue for success. When you see people who are very healthy and it looks like they can eat whatever they want, or it looks like they just enjoy life and they never have the challenges that you have, it is because they have a strategy that works for their life. It is not because they won the genetic lottery, I promise you. And so in this video, I'm going to show you why that is so important and also how to do that for yourself. We are not going to talk about deprivation. We are not going to talk about rules. We are just going to talk about ease and alignment. So let's get started. When we talk about creating a strategy that works for ourselves, we also have to look at the flip side and why that doesn't work. And that really comes down to generic plans. Now, there are so many professionals out there that have generic plans, and I don't want to criticize anyone because I'm sure that they've gotten to the level of success that they're at because they have worked for some people. But the problem is a lot of people are left kind of in the dust and forgotten about. So we need to talk to the people who have not been able to find the strategy that works for them yet. That is who this video is for. If you have found a strategy that works for you, that is great, but that does not mean that it will work for everybody. And so what we need to do is understand why generic plans don't work and how we can create a personalized strategy that works for us. Even if you have a plan that works for 50% of the people, which is very unlikely, I don't really specifically know of any that work for that many people, but let's just say there's a plan out there that works for 50% of the people to lose weight, to heal their body. You are still leaving 50% of the people out. And that is why personalized strategies are so important. Look at the people that you know. Some people love seafood. Some people hate it. Some people love chicken. Some people love beef. Some people are vegetarians. Some people are carnivore. Some people love fruit and vegetables. Other people can't stand vegetables. Some people love sweet. Some people love salty. Even in a family unit, most people do not agree on everything. People have their likes and their dislikes. It's very unusual for a whole household to agree on everything. That is why a personalized strategy is so important. And personalized strategies don't mean they have to be complicated. In fact, it's the opposite. They're actually easier and more simple to follow than a generic plan because it is fit within the ideals of your lifestyle. Let's break it down for you in this way. When I work with my clients, we do a full large-scale assessment of their likes, their dislikes, the time they eat, their sleep schedule, the things that they're struggling with. I even ask about their family members, their temptations, their lab work. All of those things come into play. And so when you are creating a strategy for yourself, you want to think about all of this. So let's say you were given a plan by a nutritionist or a doctor, and they want you to have, let's say they want you to have sweet potatoes. and you really don't like sweet potatoes, or they want you to have chicken and you're more of a beef person, you can actually tailor your plan to fit your lifestyle. And you may think, well, I'm not supposed to have beef because that is going to raise my cholesterol. You have to understand that to get to where you want to go, you have to slowly take steps in that direction. It's like turning a boat. It's not going to happen overnight. And if you try to force yourself, then what's going to happen is you're going to give up and you're going to be frustrated. And there are so many different things that come into play, and things that maybe we think are bad for us that actually aren't bad for us. And so the important thing to do is look at what is really important to you and what matters to you. Okay. So let's start with the top 3 questions you want to ask yourself. What foods do you genuinely love? What do you just really enjoy eating? And which ones do you never want to see on your plate? That is very important when you build a plan, to make sure you incorporate your likes and your dislikes. Also, you want to look at what time of the day you feel hungry. What time are you tired? When are you very snacky? That's very important. When I first start working with a client, if they are used to eating chocolate in the evening, we have to incorporate that, because otherwise it will not be successful. They will end up falling back on their habits and having the chocolate. We need to slowly turn that boat in the direction of success. The next thing you want to ask yourself is, what does your real life schedule look like? Are you cooking at home? Are you door dashing every single night? Are you eating on the go? Are you eating while you're feeding your kids? Are you working odd hours? All of those things must be looked at for you to have success with your personalized strategy. And the beautiful thing is, when you create a personalized strategy around these parameters, it fits into your life so perfectly that you can't help but succeed. The very cool thing about creating a personalized strategy is you can include what you love on that strategy or in that strategy. So if you love pizza, like I would have a client who went out for pizza on Friday nights with her family, we were able to incorporate that in her plan. Or I have another client who is very snacky at night and he has to have his sugar at night. We would incorporate that, and then we set up new habits to slowly turn him away from that. And it's not an overnight thing, but if you really know what your temptations and your weaknesses and your challenges are, it's much easier to set yourself up for success. So understanding your cravings and your patterns, your digestion, your energy levels, how your body responds to certain foods, what your cultural food preferences are, and how much structure you are actually able to handle, all come into play with a personalized strategy. I used to give people a strategy where I would give them recipes. I have stopped doing that because that creates too much work for them. Now, initially, we start with things that are very simple and easy to incorporate in their life. If they want recipes, I have hundreds of recipes I can incorporate in their strategy as time goes on. But initially, it's much easier if we keep things simple and more aligned with what they're used to. And here's the truth. If you need to lose weight, you don't have to have chicken and broccoli and rice all of the time. You can literally have the foods that you love. You can have steak, you can have butter, you can have chocolate, you can have pizza, you can have wine, you can have all of these things, but they must be strategized out. So when I work with people and we include these things, it's very helpful for them to see these things on their plan and how it affects their day. And just seeing them laid out like that will help them understand what these foods are doing and how they are affecting their energy levels, their health, and their well-being. Let's talk about tracking, because tracking is something that I actually am a big fan of, but I understand that it can be challenging for people. When I first put people on their personalized strategy, I track for them so they don't have to. So their first 2 weeks and beyond are actually tracked in their macros for them and their calories. And this way you can create your personal puzzle to be built according to your likes, your dislikes, your cravings, your desires, all of that. And so tracking is very helpful because it allows you to put together your puzzle. So understanding too that calories are not as important as macros, okay? So understanding that macro ratios are the key. So when I build somebody's puzzle, I actually build it off the macro ratios. So if they're having a lot of fat in their diet initially, we have to balance that out over time. And we have to make sure that it is properly ratioed with the protein and the carbs that they are meant to have. Some people are okay with a low carb diet, but understand that if you are going to go forward with a low carb diet, this is a lifetime commitment, because what happens is people will burn out on a low carb diet, just like they do on generic plans. Some people do very well on a low carb diet. They love meat, they love eggs, and they can be fat adapted and it works for them. Other people really miss the carbs and they can't muscle through that fat adaptation phase, and they just prefer to have more fruits and vegetables and, potatoes and things like that. You might be one or the other, and that is okay. It just, you have to understand your own body, and that is what's going to set you up for success. And so when you're tracking, understanding what makes you happy and what you're most comfortable with is going to allow you to build that puzzle. For example, if you are on a 1600 calorie for the day, if you're a woman and you're at 1600 calories, you can make that macro ratio in so many different ways, but you want it to be set up for ease and alignment. If you're on a low carb diet, having 1600 calories with no carbs is a very large amount of protein and fat. And so that might not be something that you are comfortable with. If you're on a 1600 calorie and you are incorporating carbs and lean protein and moderate amounts of fat, it allows you to have a large amount of food. And when you look at that puzzle, it can really be built according to your love of whatever food that you want to have for that particular day. When I first build the puzzle for my clients, they usually get really excited because it's with food that they really enjoy. Because the assessment is done in such a specific way, I can see how they eat. I can see what they love. I can see what they've been doing. And I build that strategy for them based on that assessment. And that sets them up for success. And you can do the same thing for yourself. So write down what you're eating for 3 days. Really take a look at that. And then you can build a new puzzle based on what you've been doing with just some small changes that set you up for success. It's not about perfection. It's just about building something that keeps you satisfied and is moving you toward your goal, because our body is responsive and gets acclimated. So as we make changes, our body gets used to that. However, if we try to change too much at once, our body will be like, no, this is too much change at once. We get frustrated, we get overwhelmed, and we set ourselves up for failure. But if we are looking at things like our non-negotiables, for example, like you have to have your glass of wine, or you love chocolate, or you can't give up pasta one night a week, you don't need to cut it out. You need to learn to build it in. And so checking where you're at currently with your macros is the best way to turn that boat by making those small changes fit into your puzzle. I actually have a guide that teaches you how to do this. It's called the No Deprivation Guide to Weight Loss. It's only $47 and it's in the description or in the link in my bio, and it teaches you step by step on how to turn this boat. But if you think of your meals like a puzzle and understand that you just need to put those pieces of the puzzle together, that's why I call it the puzzle method, it gets so much easier. I hope this video helped you understand a little bit about how weight loss and healing can be easy and how you don't have to follow a generic plan, and how generally generic plans will probably set you up for frustration and burnout. So if you need support with this, this is something that I can help you with. And I work with my clients very closely on a very high level of support, but it's actually so affordable because I have a one-time plan where you can just fill out my assessment. I take a look at it and I create your strategy for you. Now, if you want longer support, I have that as well. But understand that it can be done, and it's something that is a lifetime skill that you will have, because once you learn this, it's like a whole new world is opened up to you. I personally learned this skill many years ago, and I have lost over 25 pounds and kept it off. I was never what you would consider overweight, but my weight was slowly creeping up in my 40s, and I was confused because I thought I was eating healthy. But when I really started looking at my macros as opposed to just my calories, I saw that my macro ratio was so off balance. And that is what I do for you. I look at what you're eating and look and say, look, you need either more protein or more carbs or less fat. And this is how we can do that and still eat the foods that you love. And most of the time, what happens is you're actually eating more food and you're more satisfied and you're more nourished. And so your cravings go down, your energy goes up, your weight goes down, and you actually learn to love to eat this way because it's all the foods that you love and it's acclimated with your lifestyle, and you have the success that you've been wanting to have. So even if we don't work together, just remember that the plan, the strategy is supposed to be in ease, in flow, and in alignment with your life. If you are interested in working together, please book a free call because we can talk. Sometimes that conversation is very eye-opening. Sometimes people are left speechless by what I tell them. And sometimes it's very apparent to me where their struggle is and they're confused. So understand that this is something that is a very valuable skill that you are giving yourself. And it's a lifetime skill that allows you the longevity, the health, the body that you deserve, and also gives you the happiness and ease around your health and wellness that should be there. It's not supposed to be difficult to be healthy. Until the next video, see you soon.